Hello everybody, I'm Mike Levin of MikeLevinSEO.com, a website that I had just installed on a Raspberry Pi under the Pigreen framework, which is not Apache or Nginx or any of the other web servers that take care of the auto-starting procedure during the install. I had to use the nohup command to get it running, and I plan on fixing that now. Every Linux seems to have their own way of handling the startup procedure. And so I Googled up the Autostart page on the Arch in Google to find the Arch approaches. And it seems that there is the default Systemctl approach where you simply put files into /etc/systemd/system, and then they can be enabled using the Systemctl command, which sounds very familiar because people who use Apache know the Apache CTL command, where you can start and stop services, restart. And before I just jump into it, which is what I'm going to do because run it is a replacement that has to be deliberately installed, and I'm trying to stay close to default. There are other execution contexts discussed here, which is exactly the blind spot that people who start out directly with PHP or JavaScript under Node develop, because having code execute in response to a user or even a machine request is only one execution context. There is also scheduling it, which is what you would do with cron that's described here. And there's also deliberately typing it out in a command line and just making something go, which is how you would start a crawl or anything else that you do on an ad hoc basis that doesn't need a web server in the picture. And this is one of the reasons I'm taking you down the Python path. All these things are now becoming possible under PHP and JavaScript, but they are handled as afterthoughts, and you want to eliminate this perpetual blind spot. There is no first-class citizen of execution context. You should be familiar with all of them. So we are going to go into this location as our next step. But before we do, I want to look at what the file that I put in that location is supposed to look like. So I Googled up, how can I make a script start during the boot process on Arch Linux under the Systemd system? And I find this. And it also says to actually start it afterwards, I type this command. And then it also says you can't do something like the interpreter space the file name. So there's a little bit of concern here because I need to type in this location Pigreen space serve port number. So I went to the man page of Systemd and did a little reading about what it is. It's the main process of the service. So if it has parameters, it should be fine. And remember, we want to go to this location, etc systemd/system. So we go over to our command line. It's still logged into our Raspberry Pi. I can see that we're in root. We can always type this to remind ourselves. And now we want to cd into /etc, which is a place where a whole bunch of text files are kept. But inside of there, it's systemd. And inside of there, it's also something called system. But I want to take a look in here, see what kind of stuff we got. Oh, that's a very useful location under Arch Linux. I'll have to remember that. Now we want to cd into system. And you'll notice I don't need to put any slashes before it or tildes or anything. Once you're in a directory, you can cd into any directory you see named pretty easily. I ls there. Oh, this is not expected. It's a bunch of stuff called .once. I was expecting .service. So I'm going to ls-la to see what we're looking at. Oh, those D's at the beginning there mean we're looking at directories. And one of them is a little familiar, multi-user. That was at the bottom of the text file I'm supposed to create. So I'm going to cd into multi-user and do an ls there. That looks a little more like what's expected. So let's look inside one of these files to see if it looks like what I found on that other page. We can use the less command, less rngd.service. Hey, it looks exactly like those. So I can escape. Oh, for getting out of less, it's actually the letter Q for quit. It kind of resembles Vim in that regard, which is a recurring theme you'll find on Unix and Linux. The keyboard shortcuts are kind of sort of in common between a lot of software for navigating around and for regular expression matching, but that'll be another video. We want to use Vim, and we're going to be using it to start the framework, the web framework we're using, which is Pigreen service, to follow the naming convention. Now I want to go into insert mode, and I happen to have actually copied it from that web page, so I'll paste and then hit, oh yeah, we need to change that command. Going to where you want without being in insert mode, and then hitting Shift D means delete everything from the cursor forward, and then we hit uppercase A to start appending at the end of the line and also going into insert mode. And I am going to type it exactly as I type it from the command line. I don't think I need a path, but this is a place that might trip me up. Pigreen serve port 80, escape, colon, W for write, Q for quit. Okay. Now I should be able to stop using the kill command, Pigreen using the nohup program to start it, see that the website goes down, and then restart it with Systemctl space Pigreen space start, something along those lines. I'm going to double check my facts and be right back. Okay, I had it a little backwards. It's Systemctl space start space name of service. So we go back to our command line. I'm going to clear it to make it a little easier to look at, which I'll ruin right away by doing ps space -AX. Get our list of commands. Pigreen is this one right here. That is 2208. So let's do a before and after. Here's the website. I'll do a refresh. The service is clearly running. Kill 2208. Go back, do a refresh. This web page is not available. Go back to the command line and do Systemctl start Pigreen. Moment of truth. Failed to start. No such file or directory. Path stuff. We'll be right back. I thought it was path stuff, but maybe not so. I just did an ls-la of that directory to look at the file permissions, and lo and behold, see all these X's on all these other files? That means they have execute permission, whereas the one I just created doesn't have any of those X's. So chances are it's execution permission, which we simply fix by going chmod 755, I believe, Pigreen service, ls-la, and now I've got the X's too. I could have made it a slightly more permissive with the W's for writes for other users, but I believe this should do the trick. Up arrow through my history, and I should find the start command, systemctl start Pigreen. Second moment of truth. Failed to start, failed to load, no such file or directory. It is a path thing. Well, at least I've got the execution permissions right. We'll be right back. Okay, so paths. Based on the explicit provided paths here, I'm going to guess that that's necessary, even though we don't have to type it when triggering Pigreen. The use of environmental paths is a variable thing. This might be happening too early in the boot process to have that environment path. It's an order of where the system looks for things. So first thing we need to do is to confirm that Pigreen is in user bin, that is our binary path. So we can do an ls of /user/bin, and we're only interested in things that begin with py and wildcard. We'll probably see a bunch of Python stuff as well. But we need to see, hey, Pigreen in there. There it is. Now I could probably get a lot more information by doing an ls-la. I need the full path. User bin pi asterisk, because yeah, as I thought, there's going to be a bunch of symlinks in here. Stuff is often put in user bin that is installed elsewhere. So let's see, Pigreen. Hey, Pigreen is actually sitting there. It's some sort of file in that location, literally. So that bodes well. We want to edit our .service file again. So vim pigreen.service, and simply preface the location with I for insert /user/bin/Pigreen space serve port 80, write and quit. And now we want to use systemctl for control and start and Pigreen. Failed to load, no such file or directory. Little more research. Okay, after a little bit of research, I see it's a user stupidity error and I outsmarted myself. So we're in this directory called multi-user target once, and files in there, and it shouldn't be. It should be one level up. So we move Pigreen.service to ... which is another term for one level up. And now, clear. And we'll try the moment of truth one more time. It goes systemctl start Pigreen. Yay! So to finish our before and after, I should be able to go over to here where it says web page not available. And if life is good, it should start in a moment. As we know from prior, not found. Interesting. So it serves files from whatever directory it was invoked from, and it's not currently being invoked from mlseo. We'll be right back. Don't you just love raw learning experiences? The experienced Arch people are probably shaking their fists at me. So I did my Googling, and we are going to once again vim the Pigreen service file, and we are going to insert a new line using O, and I'll paste the command that I just got off of the web browser on my research, working directory equals, and I'll use the shortcut for home /mlseo, escape : WQ, systemctl start, because I had stopped it before, I might not have got that in the video, Pigreen.service. Success! Go over here to the not found page, do a refresh. Again, we have to wait. Pigreen isn't the fastest web server in the world to start. Not found. But we can iterate quickly. We know what our problem is. Systemctl stop Pigreen. Vim it again. Maybe we need an absolute path that is the same as root. Start. Patience. Hey, yay, that was it. You cannot use the tilde as a shortcut for home. And that's it. Every time I restart the Raspberry Pi now, MikeLevinSEO.com will automatically be running. Now I can test that, and I never showed you a shutdown or a restart before, so let's do it. Let's try a restart. Command not found. Shut down. Help. -R is a reboot. Shut down. Restart. When you restart a Linux system, it broadcasts a message to everybody that the system is about to go down. And I should find something to talk about. Okay. I'm probably going to keep all my mistakes intact here. According to old sysadmin practices, this is all really terrible stuff because I'm poking around and I'm doing stuff and I'm just learning. I'm a newbie. I'm green as root on my own system. Well, guess what? It's a Raspberry Pi. And after I get this stuff right, I'm probably going to image off the disk and I'll be able to get back to this as a starting point no matter how I screw up. What else is there that can be said? When watching animation, if there's anyone out there who's a fan of the pencil sketches and the storyboards and the raw animation footage before it gets all polished, I think that that's more entertaining than even the finished movies. So the Raspberry Pi is rebooting. People have different expressions for it, you know, taking a look inside the sausage factory. And on occasion, I'll edit my videos to make them come off a little bit more polished. But more often, I like to keep my mistakes intact because you're going to be going through something very similar. And when you do, you can A, take heart in the fact that it does happen to other people, and B, have a little bit of insight into that process of as soon as you encounter a problem, you back up, you do a little bit of research, readjust, and you go right at it. You do this over and over until you get the desired behavior. Now I am going to SSH into my site again, and I am going to look for running services, but I'm going to do one more refresh because I saw some hard drive flickering. It might just be slow getting started, or it might actually not be running. ps-ax. We're looking for something that says Pigreen in there. It might be earlier in the process because it's supposed to be running at boot. It's not jumping right out at me. I may have another step to do yet. I'll do one more refresh. Indeed, it's not running. I'll make sure that the Systemctl start Pigreen still is available after a reboot. I'm watching the lights flicker. I think I have the timing down now. Flip back over here. Okay, we'll be right back. Once again, we have a user stupidity error or simply the lack of reading carefully enough. How can I make a script start during the boot process? All the stuff we did, plus using this enable command, not the start command. So we go back over here, and I guess I'll go Systemctl stop Pigreen, just on the off chance it has to be stopped when you use the enable command. Systemctl enable Pigreen. Created symlink. Bam! Symlinks are in fact required. And using the enable command creates a symlink. Okay, so let's see if that actually did the start as well. No, it did not. Wow, am I going to make you sit through all this? Probably. One particularly painfully, excessively long video for all of these little nuanced details. Now you might even ask yourself, is that chmod 777 that he did necessary? Was the exact path to the Pigreen file necessary? Well, weakest link in the chain. They all might have been necessary. They're all really good practice. So I am not going to go back and edit that stuff out. And we know to do a shutdown -R for a reboot. Take 2. The system is going down. Okay, I'm just getting silly now. I'll find something else to talk about. I might leave it in. I might edit it out and make it just jump over really quickly. Why Raspberry Pi instead of a Amazon Web Services Elastic Computing Cloud instance? Well, despite all the commodity talk that's going on about how Amazon is eating Rackspace's lunch, the truth is, to get a server running with this level of dedication and always availableness, you're going to be spending something like $10 a month. And a Raspberry Pi is $35. So after 3.5 months, you could have paid for your hardware. Yay, that was a reboot and the website is running. I have achieved one of my largest objectives of the day, which is to make Pigreen start at startup using the correct techniques so that it's a lot like a Linux daemon. Anyway, it's 9:46 a.m. and my day has barely just started, and I can forge on to these other Python execution contexts I want to show you. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget to subscribe.